I mean, there's like a minimum bar, I would say, for like, yeah,
Hmm.
you obviously need some technical skill in order to be effective
Sure.
as an engineer. But I
Yeah.
think once you cross that minimum bar, I feel like a lot of the value is up to you to decide how you want to, you know, impact your team and grow yourself and your team.
Yeah, okay. I really like that because I think a lot of people don't think outside the technical as well. They're like, I need to have all these technical skills to be useful.
Yeah, and
But
actually,
it,
I'm
but
actually really curious,
yeah,
like on your end, because like, I have
yeah,
never not done too much in the freelancing world. I've done some consulting,
sure,
but like,
yeah,
I feel like it's kind of interesting because like I kind of have the opposite, whereas I feel like as a
yeah,
freelancer,
yeah,
you're like being hired for a very specific thing, and so therefore,
yes,
like my sense is that your communication ability or your like um, ability to get consensus may not be
hmm,
valued as highly as, hey, can Rob, are
hmm,
you able to get the job done? So I'm
yeah.
curious how you think about that. Like, do you feel like there's kind of more pressure as a freelancer to like really deliver?
I think it depends. To your point, it depends what you're brought in for, right? So, for example, like I'm on a project right now where I got brought in to a startup to essentially just reskin their whole app, and they want to add some features and that. And the runway to do that is say 6 months. So from the start, you're not under pressure. Like we need this thing built next week, and you get input into the design, and so you get to bring your experience and say like, I don't think this
Mm,
is a good idea. I think you should do this. So the pressure aspect is not there. I definitely think for a project like this, though, you need to have good communication skills, because you can go into a project where it literally is like, here's everything we want you to do. Just let us know when it's done, and that's it.
yeah.
You don't. If you think it's a bad idea, you're still going to do it. And if you're an engineer that has no communication skills, you can do that. But as soon
Mm,
as it comes to like you're in a meeting, hey Rob, what do you think? What do you think about this? And you have no input, or they like the previous developers who made this app, they obviously just the startup would come to them and say, we want this thing to be bright pink and we want it to spin, and they would just do it. They wouldn't say, why do you want to do that? We don't think it's a good idea. Nothing on Android looks like this. This is an iOS thing. They didn't do so. So I think there's part of it, but I think mostly from the technical aspect. Like there's nothing special about being a freelancer or a contractor. Like you need,
mm,
it's to your point, right? You need to have a decent level of understanding. You can't go into a contract role and they say, can you build this? And it's going to take you 6 months, and it's going to take another engineer 2 weeks. Like that's not
yeah.
cool, because that's you're in the wrong role. But once you get past that bar of, you're able, like if you're qualified, I always say it's, if you're qualified to get through the interview, you're qualified to do the gig. And then
Mm,
the soft skills and that and stuff like that, depending on the interview process, they either weed you out because you don't have communication skills, or they find out in the process of you working that you didn't. I don't know if that answers your question, or if I
yeah, it
just
does.
went
I
on a
mean, I
little
think that
ramble
it's.
there, but
I think yeah, you're totally right that I think communication is equally important, and maybe even more important in your case because you're like trying to represent yourself and like provide
yeah,
guidance. I think the
yeah,
one thing that does stand out to me is that one of the things I really value about big tech is that you're almost there to learn. Like you get paid to learn. Like you're on the
yeah,
job and
yeah,
you have this mentorship and support structure around you.
yeah,
And that's what I think scares me a little bit about freelance, right? Because I don't think they're going
yeah.
to be okay with you saying, oh, let me take 3 months and bill you for the time it takes me to learn this framework
Sure,
and
sure,
then let
sure,
me
sure,
do the
sure.
change, right?
Yeah, I would say some companies you would be surprised, which I think is crazy, because they like, I had one gig where they wanted me to help coach up the agency that they were using to build their products. It's not even their agency, right? It's not their employees. I'd be coaching another company on how to do
Mm,
something well to do it for them, but then they'd also, that didn't make any sense. But yeah, I don't like. I think once you get to a certain level, and I would say like once you're at, I mean, if you're at your level, like you could get any contract you want, and I would I would be very surprised if you went into any role in terms of contracting and you was like, I need 3 months to figure this out. Like
mm,
I'm pretty sure you turn up and they say you've got 3 months to do this thing, and you deliver it in 2 weeks, and then you have 2.5 months to do whatever you want and get paid. Like
mm,
I think that's a big misconception. Is like, to your point, like with Facebook, they pay you to learn, and to this, you can't go in and say, you know, I need 3 months to go and figure this out. But at the same time, you work with other engineers, right? So I'll be on a project and there might be someone senior, but then to your point that you made earlier, it's not like school. So if I don't know how to do something, I could speak to the iOS guy and be like, how did you do this? And he
mm,
will give me like the cliff notes of iOS, and then I'll be able to figure out and be like, great, I could do something similar, and
yeah.
vice versa. So, there's definitely room to learn things. And I think once you're, I keep saying at a certain level, but I feel like if you consider yourself a mid-level engineer, then you can do it, and there's not going to be any
Mm.
surprises. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's interesting because I feel like what this conversation shows me is that what you don't do always feels scarier. Like for me, I've
Yes.
been
Yeah.
only in this like corporate environment, and like
Yeah.
going out and advocating and trying to get a bid on a freelance project, that seems scary to me. But
Yeah.
I think at the
Yeah.
same time, there's a lot of people out there who are like, being able to work at Facebook or Pinterest or whatever
Yeah.
is so challenging. And like for me,
Hmm.
it's like, no, that's not that hard. I mean, I'm sure you could do it too. So it's kind of
Yeah.
interesting that, we're coming at
No,
it from like
I
different perspectives.
definitely think it's a perspective because I've been freelancing in Android for like 10 years now. And
Yeah.
if you said to me like, Rob, you've got a job at Facebook and you start tomorrow, like I would be like that. I'm not supposed to be at Facebook. Like I don't know enough stuff to be at Facebook. I
Right.
don't know what I'm doing. Like, so I definitely think it's a perspective because I always feel like that about freelancing when I work with, I'm in a company, they have employees and they're really good. And I'm like, why do you guys just work here? Why do you not work, everywhere? Why are you not contracting? And they think that they're not at the level ready to be contracting.
Right.
And you can't explain to them, like, there is not this magical level. You just do it. And after day 2, you realize, oh, actually, no, it's fine. I can do it. So yeah, I definitely think it's a perspective thing.